Everybody. My name is Lisa Brarely, and next to me is my amazing husband, Scott Brarely. And you've landed on Soulmates and Suitcases, episode number 13. And we have a special guest today, a fellow author who has an incredible story, Paul Gehring. How are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
Good, Paul. Paul, you have two books out right now, and you have an adult's book all about quite a life that we need to share with our audience, and as well a children's book. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Paul? Maybe introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So I live in Utah, born and raised in Utah. I lived here all my life. Got married. All my life's going to be mad. 23, let's say 23 years ago. That's within a year. So she can't be mad. She can't be too mad. 23 years ago. And we have four amazing children. Um, when my youngest was one, we were at a college football game with some friends, and my wife collapsed, um, and then we ended up having to rush her to the hospital, did a bunch of tests. She ended up needing open heart surgery. And then 6 months after that one, had to have another one, and a year after that, her third one. Um, and so that rocked our world over and over again. And then dealing with her recovery and trying to work a full-time job and raise four little kids and take care of my wife led to some anxiety and some depression that I was dealing with, trying to sort that stuff out. And then about 4 years ago, my wife suffered a massive stroke and had to be taken via helicopter from our hometown to Salt Lake City, which was only about 45 minutes away, but they flew her there for emergency brain surgery. Um, and and so she's still with us. She's a trooper. She's a fighter. She's got some permanent brain damage from it, but she's an incredible human. She's been through a lot. And anyway, so I wrote this first book as a therapy project. Just my therapist said, get everything out of your head. Just write it all down. And I did that. And then as I continued to write down thoughts, this thought came to me that there has to be other people out there struggling with similar situations. And what if I could take all of these thoughts that I just word vomited out and organize them and make it make sense to someone else who's struggling with something, that they could read this and know that they're not alone in feeling the way that they do, that it's normal for you to feel depressed and have anxiety and be frustrated at the world, at God, I mean, anyways, and so that's what the first book was. It turned into, I just want to, I mean, would it be amazing to be a New York Times bestseller? Absolutely. But these were written as therapy for me. They are doing for me what I need them to do for me. And so beyond that, my goal is just to talk to as many people as I possibly can and find those people that do feel that way, and help them feel less alone than they feel. Because I've definitely had times where I felt completely alone, even though I have family all around me and friends and great neighbors. And I mean, we had so much help, but still those feelings of I'm alone and nobody understands this creep in. So yeah, so that was the first book. And the second book, I'm actually more excited about book two than I am book one, although I love them both. Book two, I had this idea as all these thoughts were coming out that I've suffered with depression and anxiety since I was a preteen, teenager. I just didn't know what it was back then, and nor did my parents. But looking back now, I can see that I struggled with that for a long time, and going through these things with my wife just put it under a magnifying glass and brought it to the surface. So I wrote this as a children's book. It rhymes. It has this cute little redhead boy because that's reminds me of me when I was a kid. So, but the idea was to have a book that a parent could sit down with their child and read this book, and it talks about feelings and emotions and actions that I felt as a child and as an adult that I feel are associated with depression and anxiety. So a parent could sit down and read this with their child and start a dialogue and say, hey, have you ever felt like this little boy in this book? Have you ever had those feelings? And get a conversation started so that we don't wait until it's too late to start talking about it. That was a lot. I just went off. I'm sorry.
That's what we want.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's incredible how we teach our kids a lot of stuff that we don't need to teach them, and don't teach. Like, I'm not a parent, so I don't know. I just have witnessed it myself included, that we don't teach what we need to teach them.
Right.
Important things in life.
Yeah.
Lisa and I took this course years ago that there were a few words we weren't allowed to say, but can't try. And it's like, how many times do we tell our kids, you can't do that? And it's like, instead of encouraging them instead of saying you can't do that, explain why it's a bad idea or it's a good idea. Right.
But like what you're talking about, Paul, is kind of coming to that table of curiosity with kids, right? So they can express themselves and talk about things. And so have you experienced, I guess, put your book to work with your own children?
So I definitely have used things that I have learned. So the first book that I wrote, the more biographical one, I guess, that goes through our kind of story, and then it goes through it's 10 chapters, but it starts with chapter 10 and counts down to number 1. And I wrote it that way that it would go through my top 10 list of things that I've learned along the way that have helped me to cope with this depression and anxiety and PTSD and everything. And so I definitely have sat and talked with my kids about a lot of these different coping mechanisms that I wanted them to know about, grounding and breathing and a whole bunch of different things. My youngest is now 15, and she read this new book, this children's book. She read it the other day. She read my first one, didn't have much to say, but she read this one and she said, Dad, I read that book and it's awesome. And she struggles with some stuff too. And I told her the other day, we were talking about it, I said, sweetheart, with everything that our family's been through, it would be more weird to me if you didn't struggle with that stuff. And plus, you're a 15-year-old girl in this world that we live in. Like, I think everybody is struggling with these things on one level or another. So the most important thing that we can do, in my opinion, I'm not the doctor, I'm not anything, but the most important thing that I feel like as a parent that I can do is teach my kids the importance of just talking. Just come talk to me. If you're, whatever it is, if you're struggling with something, come talk to me. Find some, and if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, talk to one of your siblings, talk to your mom, talk to someone, but don't keep it inside and think that you can handle it on your own. Not to say that you can't, because some things you can, but it's just, once you just let it out, it's so freeing. I get super excited and proud when my kids come to me and want to talk about a struggle that they're having, because to me, it's like, I did something right. I've messed up a lot of times, but I did this one, I got right. So.
Yeah. And sometimes it's scary the first time they do that, right? But it gets easier and easier. And then it becomes common practice. So they take that now into their adulthood and their next their relationships or friendships or whatever, that's the shift, I think, is what you're saying you'd love to see happen more, right?
Right. Yeah. And I recently went to this training and I was talking to one of the coaches that was there and telling him that, I was working on, and I don't, no fault to my parents. They're a generation before me, and depression and anxiety wasn't really talked about then, and it's more common to talk about it now. And so in writing these books and in trying to talk with my kids, I was telling this coach that, and he said, Paul, that, like, he had me picture like an orchard, and he said, you are picking up your apple and you are launching it into the next orchard. that is like generational change for you. Like, you can't just think about your kids and how that's going to affect your kids. That's going to affect their kids and their kids, your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids. This will have generational change if it flows through. And he was like, it will flow through because your kids are watching you do it. So then they're going to do it. Their kids will watch. And it impacted me. Like, there's so much I think that we can do, just, how do I say this? Just by our example, people watching, and especially my kids, they're always watching. But like, people are always watching and learning from how we're handling the situations that we're going through.
Yeah, I heard something the other day. It's not only shifting or changing the future, which I really love your analogy of being in the apple orchard field and throwing it into the next orchard, but it also breaks, and we talked about this the other day, breaks some of that past generational sort of things happening in your past, right? And so
Mhm.
just a simple sort of example of that is the growth I know that Scott and I have gone through over the last 5, 6 years, that sort of thing. I was actually able to show up better for my dad and have
Mm.
my dad like actually have a moment of strong emotions come through, but that was because I chose to do something about it, right? So it gave him the space, which in turn helps again the older generation, or that kind of past thinking of that as well. So
Yeah.
you never know when you start to kind of open up that energy field of being
Yeah,
open to hear people and listen.
for sure. And I think that it's been interesting too, because as I've gone on this journey, I've had it's been really incredible. I've had people come into my life, and I don't know how to explain it. Like, I had this realization the other day, in talking to another friend, that he said, um, you have a goal and a dream of where you want to go, and God wants to get you there. Like, there's no reason God does not want you to reach your goals and your dreams. He just absolutely does, and he's going to put people in your path to get you there, but you have to be willing and able and in the right mindset to recognize those people.
Mm.
Because he said, I promise there's been people put in your path along the way through your journey with your wife's health and everything that you've been through, that have been put there to help you, and you haven't seen them. You've dismissed them, whatever it was. You weren't in the right frame of mind to notice them and accept them into your life. And I think that a huge part of that is pride. I think as a man, I let my pride get in the way. Like, no, I got this. I don't need help from anybody. I struggle with that. I don't like asking for help. And so it was interesting to look back and think, how much easier could this journey have been had I been in a different mindset to notice and accept this help into my life, rather than build the walls up and just try to handle it all on my own. And I am in a different headspace now, and I have seen amazing people and amazing things come into my life just over the past couple months that have just it's been incredible to watch.
It's it's interesting because sometimes, like, I went through a really dark period. It was my own health, and I was alone. And however, the biggest reason I was alone was me. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
pushed everybody away because I was so angry and so bitter and so resentful. And like, I look back and I'm really glad it happened, because I'm the man I am today because of what's my past has become. However, it's like reaching that hand out is sometimes so hard to do. And even when you do it, it's begrudgingly. And it's like, why are we built like that? Like,
Right.
it, it makes no common sense when you get on the other side.
Right.
However, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I talk about it in the first book. I think it was after my wife's second open heart surgery. Um, she had recovered. She was home. Um, and I remember it vividly. I was laying on our couch in our living room. I was watching NFL football on Sunday. Should have been in my happiest place of all places. My wife was in the backyard. I could hear my kids running around playing in the backyard, hearing them laughing, like should be a great place, but my brain would not shut up. And it just was going, and I was spiraling, just having awful thoughts about how bad things were, and why do we keep getting dumped on, and where's God now? Why isn't he helping us? He has the power to take all this away. Why would he let this happen to us? And just kept going and going and going down this spiral. And it got to the point where I had convinced myself that suicide was the way out, and that nobody understood how bad things were. And if I did that, then people would finally understand how bad it was. And I had convinced myself that, I was minutes away from going to my room and opening our safe and getting my gun out and being done with it. And my wife walked in, and thank God she walked in when she did, and she could tell something was off, and she started talking to me, and then she went and got my neighbor, and I got into therapy, and I'm convinced that they saved my life. And that is that when to just bookend the whole thing, that is why I want to talk to as many people as I possibly can. That's why I'm on your podcast. That's why I want to talk to anybody who's willing to listen, because I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, nobody's alone. And so, but then as soon as I said that, I thought, that's crazy, because when I went through that day specifically, I wasn't alone. My wife was right outside. My kids were outside. I had neighbors all around me that would have dropped everything to help me. All of my family lived within, I have 3 siblings, and my parents all live within 10-minute drive of me. Like, I'm surrounded by help and love and support, but depression had convinced me that I was alone. And it terrifies me and breaks my heart that I know there are other people out there feeling that exact same thing right now, that they're alone and nobody knows what they're going through, and nobody knows how bad it is. And so this is the solution. I want to find those people, and I want to convince them that they're not alone, and let's talk about it. The best thing you can do is just start talking to someone, find someone who listens, and start talking about what you're feeling. And I know, because I've been through it, that once you start talking, that the darkness starts to lift, the weight starts to lift, it just starts to get better, but it just doesn't fix itself. It has to be talked about, but everybody shies away from talking about it because we're embarrassed, we're ashamed that we've had thoughts and feelings like that. And anyways, that is, sorry, I derailed again. I do that all the time.
No,
That's
no.
quite okay. That's okay.
It's a perfect conversation. It's a perfect conversation. Many times, we, like you talked about God putting people on your path, or part of your path. And often these people, they reflect something to you, and you talked about, and I'm sure someone has said to you this somewhere along the way, that you've said to us that your wife is very strong. She's a fighter. She doesn't give up. So in turn, so are you, Paul.
Yeah, and that's been a challenge, because my wife and I have had to have conversations. We've talked very openly about the road that she's had to travel has not been easy by any stretch, and I'm so thankful for her. I'm thankful for her fighting through everything that she's fought through, so that she's still here with me today. It's been a challenge, and I've told her, like, I can't relate to what you've gone through. I can't feel how you feel having gone through everything that you've been through. On the flip side of that, you can't relate to how I feel and everything that I've been through. I told her, I was like, I don't know which is worse, going through the 3 open heart surgeries and the stroke that you went through, or watching you go through those things and being able to do absolutely nothing. That probably was what was the hardest for me. I walk around with my tool belt on at all times. I just want to fix everybody's problems. And this happens to my wife, and I have to stand back and just pray that these doctors know what they're doing, and that they're going to fix her, because there's nothing I can do. That was a challenge for me. And I always I joked with my wife, like, I am not learning the lessons I need to learn. That's why you keep getting hit with these things, because there's something I need to learn and I'm not learning it. So I'm like, please, let's get the lessons learned so we can quit going through these challenges. But yeah,
How
it's been
old,
hard. Sorry, go
how,
ahead.
how old were you and your wife and the kids when all this started? Because it's like,
What?
I'm sitting here thinking about it, and it's like, I'm overwhelmed for you sitting on this side of the couch, because it's like the courage that it would take to be there for your kids and your wife in the hospital. And I know you had lots of help, but that it would, yeah, it's just,
It's a lot.
Yeah, she was, when she had to have her first open heart surgery, she was 20, 28, 29.
wow.
And I'm 2 years older than her. So, and luckily, so when she had her first open heart, our youngest was one. And so, let me try to figure this out now. I have four right now. So my oldest would have been 7, I think. So they're all pretty
Wow.
close. Right now they're 21, 21, 18, 17, 15. So yeah, we had them pretty quick. And after she had her open heart surgeries, the doctors were surprised. The open heart was to fix holes in her heart that she had had from birth that they just never found. And as time went on, they got bigger and worse, and until eventually whatever happened at that college football game, they still don't know. But luckily it happened and it got her into the hospital so we could get stuff figured out. But the doctors were blown away that she didn't have complete heart failure during one of the pregnancies. They couldn't believe that she had given birth to 4 kids. And so we're super thankful and lucky to have those kids. They're amazing.
Very strong woman, you're right.
Yes, she is.
Do you have your 2 books there just to show our
Yeah.
audience? Yeah, so just explain what you got there.
Yeah. So this is the first one. It's called Scars You Can't See. And this is the one that I wrote, kind of telling the first part of the book tells our story, everything that my wife went through. It's got some pictures and stuff in there, and then goes through those 10 chapters, just of different coping strategies and things that I learned along the way that really helped me to push through. And then the second book is called The Courage to Say I'm Not Okay. And that's the one I wrote hoping that the parents could sit down with their kids and read it and get a dialogue started with their kids early, so that if they are struggling with depression and anxiety, they can see those signs and start talking about it and figuring it out.
Which honestly, I have recently been teaching in the west coast of Canada, and we're from a small village, call it a small town, I guess, not a village. Or it is a village.
It's a
Yeah, it is a
village.
village. We just moved there a few years ago. And as a teacher, I would go in just as a substitute teacher, and your book would come in very handy. I tell you that. So, and I think I feel like that focus is very crucial right now, and I think your book will help a lot of people.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, for me, because through this whole thing with my wife, I've tried to find the why, and for a long time, I just thought, well, because people would say, there's a reason you're going to learn lessons and all the cliche things that are said, and I just kept thinking, like, I couldn't make sense of it. I just thought, well, we're here and stuff just happens to us, and this is just what's happening to us. There's no rhyme or reason for it. But um, going through this training that I went through a couple months ago, there was a quote shared there. I think it was by Oprah Winfrey, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but it basically was saying that, like, anything that happens to you in your life can be looked at as a blessing, a bright spot, if you choose to see it that way. And so I'm choosing to see everything we've been through as a blessing in a way that I can use my experiences to help someone else. And so that's my goal, is just I just want to find those people that feel they're alone and convince them that they're not. But I don't know exactly how to do that, but I'm trying every day.
Well, look, you're on a podcast right
Here
now.
we are.
That's like, And so that's one way for sure, reaching the global sort of community. One thing you also mentioned too is that you had gone to therapy. So I don't know if you want to share in terms of what kind, or, others might be in the same boat as you. So what could they, who could they reach out to?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been in therapy off and on for probably 14, 15 years. And I love it. I think everybody should do it. I think if you think you've got life all figured out, still go talk to a therapist. It's refreshing to just be able to go in and talk to somebody who is only hearing your story from your perspective. They don't know what they don't get to have all these other influences when you're talking to them about, oh, well, I talked to your wife and she said this, or I talked to your kids and they said this. Like, it's just your story. There's something refreshing about that. And um, I I have, when I say I've been off and on, um, started when 14 years ago when I was having those suicidal thoughts, and have gone and then have kind of felt pretty good and stopped going and then started going again. And I, every time my wife has had a health challenge, because there's been a few, she had a couple seizures randomly, and a couple other things where we've had to take her to the hospital. And every time we do that, I feel those emotions and those feelings start to bubble up again. And I go into like survival mode. I'm her caretaker. I'm my kid's dad. That's all I can focus on. And I don't focus on myself at all. And then eventually, whether it's weeks or months later, all of my feelings just explode. And a lot of times not in a really good way. It comes out in anger and frustration and but it's just all these pent up emotions that I bury while I'm trying to take care of her and the kids. And I made a promise to her the last time that I will not let that happen again. Even if I feel fine, as soon as something happens, whether it be to her, to my kids, but where it's a stressful thing that happens, I'm going to go and start therapy right away so that I can learn how to, my therapist explained it like you have a bottle of soda, and when it's all shook up, if you just pop the top, it's going to explode. But she said, what we need to learn and teach you is how to just slowly turn it. So you just hear a little bit of that pressure release, and then you can tighten it back up. And then a little bit later, let a little more out. And she was like, that's the way you need to deal with this stuff. But you can't just keep cramming it all in there because it will explode on you. You have to learn how to just let a little bit out at a time. And that's what I've been working on with this last thing that happened with my wife, and immediately got into therapy and sat down, and my therapist said, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, I don't know, because I've never come to you before the explosion. It's always been after, and then I know what to talk about. So I don't know how to do this preemptive thing, but it worked. It was great because we talked about how to cope with everything.
Yeah, you're breaking a new pattern. Like it's kind
Right.
of, that's really cool. That's neat.
When
Yeah.
When Lisa and I met, I was seeing a trauma therapist, and we're laying in bed one night, and Lisa goes, I don't have any trauma, and I brought something up to her, and I'm like, you don't have any trauma?
Maybe I
So,
do.
long story short, we were only together, I think, about 6 months, and we ended up, Lisa would see the lady, and I would see the lady, and then we would see her together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like most people go, you're just new in a relationship. Why are you seeing a therapist? And
Just a brief pause in the show. If you'd like to dive deeper into our work, our books are available on Amazon. You can also get instant electronic copies at payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley authors. Now, back to the show.
it's like
Why not?
5 years later, we're still loving each other and having fun, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and attempting to inspire the world. And I hope we inspire people.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's to take care of yourself. You talked about going to the therapist. I heard this the other day, and it makes like in the, I'll say the olden days, I don't know the best word to use. I'm not very much of a historian, but like, tribes and things that have medicine women and shaman and all these people, and everyone would go to them, to talk to them, to get words of wisdom, to share what they're feeling. And so, like, but in our common world, it seems so, I don't know what the word is, like taboo sometimes still
Yeah,
to go to a therapist, or, just because it's not like your title of your book, like just because the injury, you can't see it, it's still there.
right. Yeah, that has been that's been the challenge for me, because I've had so many people come up to me through this whole process and just say, "Man, I don't know how you did it. Like, it's crazy that you could go through all that stuff. I wouldn't have been able to do it." And it's been it's been hard for me to recognize that. Yeah, it is a challenge. It has been really hard. But I feel like as humans, we are resilient. These people that said they couldn't have handled it would have handled it, because that's what we do. Like, that's why we don't know what's coming. Because if I would have been told 15 years ago, "Hey, buddy, here's what's going to happen in the next 15 years," I would have packed a suitcase and ran. But we don't know, and so you take it as it comes and you figure it out. And you take the blows and lean on those around you for support and get through it.
Yeah, exactly. And so how new is your children's book? This is just new, right?
Yeah, just I self-published it on Amazon a week and a half ago.
Perfect. So both your books are available on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Are there other places to find it as well, or?
That's it right now. I mean, you can get it at like Barnes and Noble
Yeah.
and Walmart, but I think they just drop ship it through
Yeah.
Amazon. Yes, however they do that, I don't know. I don't know how all this book stuff works. I'm so new to it and just
I know.
trying to figure it out as I go. I love
It's
it.
a learning curve for sure. I'll make
Yeah.
one recommendation from a teacher, that you connect with some school boards, or whatever your big conglomerates of schools are, and
Okay.
see if they will purchase a batch from
Oh,
you.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
You,
the
We'll do
library
that.
and stuff.
there might, in Canada, I know they do it. There might even be a chance that you could actually go into the classroom and read them the book.
Oh, ooh, that would be fun. That
Maybe
would be
your
awesome.
kids can help
Actually,
you.
when I wrote this one, I had this awesome idea to have well, I thought it was an awesome idea. It was shot down, but I thought it was an awesome idea, like to give the book to some elementary school teachers and have them read different portions of it and have the students illustrate it. And I was going to use their illustrations in the book to actually illustrate it. But I talked to three different teachers, and they all went to their principals and the school boards, and they all said no, they can't do that. So I didn't do that, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's still a doable thing. Like sometimes putting it out there, you'll get this one teacher that goes, "My kids need to hear this book," and
Yeah,
it just needs to start with one.
I mean, that's the hope. That's the
Yeah.
hope. I want to, well, and I want to share with as many people as will listen. And then selfishly, for me, every time I get to talk about what I've been through is therapy for me. And so this today is therapeutic for me. It helps me to remember the things I've been through, remember those challenges, and remember the things that I've done to fight through them. I love it. I have no problem talking about everything that we've been through. I have no problem. I mean, I'm an open book, because for me, it is a form of therapy that helps me to continue to process everything that's there, because it's still there. For a long time, I couldn't drive past the hospital that my wife went to when she had her stroke. I avoided driving down that road because it brought all those feelings back every time I saw that hospital. And I've worked through that. Now I can drive down that road, which is good, because it's a main road that I would avoid and go all around anyways. But yeah, so it's I love it. It's therapy for me. It normalizes it. It makes it feel easier to talk about every time I talk about it. So
And how do you feel, I guess, with what you just talked about, but the shift from before writing this book to after completing the book? So it was like your therapy. You got it out, got it on paper.
yeah, it's been an interesting thing because I've had a lot of people that have, friends and family mostly have bought the book, not the children's book yet, but the first book, and everybody I've talked to has just been very, very supportive. Um, People that know me but didn't know me when I went through all that stuff with my wife have read it and been like, "Holy crap, man! I didn't know you went through all that stuff. That's crazy." Um, and it's been validating for me to have people talk about that's a lot that you went through. Like that is good validation for me to hear. Um, and it has, like I said, it was therapy writing it. It was therapy every time I went through it trying to reorganize it. It's therapy every time someone comes up and says, "Dude, I finished your book. It was awesome." And then we get to talk about it. That's therapy for me.
Yeah.
I have had some unintended consequences that I didn't foresee. I put so much, and maybe you'll relate to this where you've written a couple of books. I put so much into it that I was telling someone it's like my fifth child. Like I spent around 2.5 years on this book, not solid, but like in and out, and 2.5 years, and finally published it. And so to me, because it was something I put so much into, heart, soul, I the number of tears shed while writing this and reliving those experiences. So then when I put it out there to the world, I thought, everybody's got to love this the way I love it. Like everybody's going to want this thing. And then found myself every day waking up, logging on to KDP, checking to see book sales, and then just being like, oh, people don't love it like I love it. But then I talked to several people, and ultimately that's not why I wrote it. Like that would be a great thing if people found it and it sold a bajillion copies, but that's not why I did it. I did it for me, and it's already done what it needed to do for me and continues to do that. Like I said, every time I get to talk to somebody about it. And ultimately the reason it was written was for me, but not for me. For me to help me, but I want to find people and help them. And I don't know exactly how to do that, but I was telling someone the other day, I don't know. I see where I want to go, and I know I'm going to get there. There's not a doubt in my mind. I am going to get there to where I am speaking to groups of people. I don't know what it looks like, but I know I'm going to get there. I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there, but all I'm doing is every day trying to take at least one step towards it, doing one thing, at least one a day, one step towards. And this is one of my steps today, talking to you guys, just one thing a day to move towards that goal. And I know eventually I'll get there. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm so excited for where I'm going to be whenever it is that I get there. I can't wait.
I believe you'll get there.
I was one of those people that didn't really believe in the manifestation stuff.
No, you and me both.
And a couple of years ago, well, actually 4 years ago, we were in this course that we needed to sell the group on something. And Lisa and I had decided we were coming to Thailand. So in my head, I decided I'm going to draw this resort in Thailand. 2 years later, or 3 years later, we were building a house in Thailand.
Wow.
And it's like, when I thought about it, it blew my mind away, because it's like, I made that happen.
Yeah. Well, see, and the crazy thing too, I've always been, I have been so skeptical of manifestation. It's not like I've gotten into arguments with people about it, anyways. But I've come full circle on that, and it's been interesting because I've learned. If you're okay, I'd love to share this quick story of something that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I had been going through this. I met a friend, and he does a little 2-day training. He calls it Pivot Point, and it's really to shift the way your brain sees and thinks about the world into living in a world of now my mind just went blank. A world of there is enough. There's so much.
Abundance.
Abundance. Yes, thank you. That word escaped me for whatever reason. but just shifting to living in that world of abundance, that there's enough for all of us, and not wake up every day and think of the worst possible things that can happen, but to wake up and think of how great today is going to be. And by doing that, you will make it a great day. And that, then like I had this click of like, that's manifestation, but like I've always fought against that, but it's so true. And so as part of this coaching, he had everybody read this gratitude statement. You wake up every day and you read this one-page statement, and it's all about being grateful for what you have, and knowing that there's enough of everything out there in the world for everybody. So we don't need to be fighting over it. There's enough for everybody. And because there's enough for everybody, you're generous with what you have with those around you, because you know that you have enough. And so day one of doing that training, I had done a Zoom call with him that morning, and he explained kind of the process. Like, every day I want you to read this gratitude statement. And so I went home that night. I hadn't read it yet. Since then, I read it every morning to start my day, but this day was the first day. So I was sitting in the kitchen, and my daughter, my 15-year-old, said she needed to run to the store and get some makeup. And I said, okay, I need to read this, and then I'll take you. And so I read it in the kitchen out loud with my wife and two of my daughters in the room. And then I left. We went to the store, and we walk into the store, and my daughter goes to the makeup. And as much as I love looking at makeup, I said, I'm going to go get a couple other things, and I'll come back in just a minute. And I went down this other aisle. And as soon as I turned down the aisle, there was a lady standing in the middle of the aisle with a little toddler in her shopping cart. And she looked at me and said, can you help me? And I said, yeah, I can help you. What do you need? And she said, I have a sick baby at home and I can't afford these things. And she had some baby formula and some medicine and a couple other things in her cart. And I'm embarrassed to say that my first response was, I'm so sorry, I don't have any cash on me. And she grabbed my hand and she said, I don't need money, I just need help. And I said, okay, give me just a minute. I got to go grab a couple things and I'll be right back. And I walked a few aisles away looking for the things I needed. And again, embarrassed to say that in my mind, I was thinking, okay, if I take long enough, maybe somebody else will help her. Like, I was trying to find a way out. And then this thing hit me. You just read this gratitude statement that you're grateful for everything that you have. And because you've been given so much in life, you're generous with what you have with those around you. And it's been 15 minutes and you're already being put into the test and you're trying to find a way out of it. So I walked back over to her and I said, let's go. I'm ready to help you. And she grabbed my hand again and she said, are you sure you want to help me? And I said, yep, I do. We went and I paid for her stuff. And it was, I don't know how much I thought it was going to be, but it was a little bit more than I thought it was going to be, but I paid for it. It was almost $300. And I struggled with that all night long. Like, why did you do that? $300 is a lot of money. Like, but I just kept telling myself, be grateful that you're in a position you can do that on occasion. Like, I can't help everybody that needs $300, but every once in a while I can help someone out and do it with the right attitude that I don't need anything in return. I just am grateful that I'm in a position to be able to do that. And the next morning, I wake up and I got to work, and within a half hour of getting to work, I co-own a small business, and then me and my brother do little random handyman side jobs, just whatever, because we love working together and doing random stuff. But within a half hour, got a phone call from a friend, and he said, I have a fence that I need fixed at one of my rental properties, and I'll pay you $5,000 to do it. And to him, it was a job he needed done, and he was willing to pay to have it done. To me, it was confirmation that this manifestation and this energy that you put out in the world comes back to you tenfold. And again, I go back to what I said earlier, if you're in the right mindset to see it. And I'm so excited where I'm at right now in my life and where I see me going, because I know I'm in the right mindset to see all these little things that are coming back to me because of the energy and the vibration and the frequency that I'm putting out into the world. And to see it all come back tenfold is like, I never believed it. And now I'm seeing it almost on a daily basis. And they're not always in the form of paying for someone's groceries and then getting a job that's going to pay you 10 times that. It's not always that black and white, but I'm in this mindset of seeing all these little things like that are coming back to me from just wanting to put out to the world a better energy. And it's been so awesome to see. And then I'm so sorry, I just keep going. But then to like go back to what I said about throwing the apple into the orchard, into the other orchard, my kids are seeing that in me, and they're seeing like this new me that is living life to the fullest every day. I told my daughter the other day that that I want to live my life so that when I die, people don't just say, man, Paul had a lot. He had a lot on his plate and he dealt with all of it. Like, man, that guy, his wife had health problems. He took care of her. He took care of his kids, blah, blah, blah. I want all of that. I do. But I want more than that. I want someone to say, man, he had a lot to deal with. He took care of his wife. He took care of his kids. And he wrote a book, and he wrote a children's book, and he went out and helped people. That was his whole thing. He just wanted to help people and find those that felt they were alone and talk to them and help them through. I'm like, that to me fulfills the void that I feel inside and makes me want to keep going and keep fighting. Like I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm even explaining things in a coherent way, but it makes sense to me.
100% makes sense.
100% makes sense to us.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And what you're doing with your children, or like even the reading the gratitude list out loud, or that's short prose that you're talking about, when you show up, that's kind of the way I look at it. When you show up, which is what I discovered about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, when I started to take care of myself, I could show up better for other people. And so that was a big sort of aha moment as a parent. I don't know if that's kind of the way you see it as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually, I have things that I enjoy doing. I love that here in Utah, we're coming into springtime. So I mowed my lawn yesterday. That is one of my very favorite things to do. But like, I love to sit outside and read. I love to golf. And I would feel guilty for being at work all day and then coming home from work and wanting 15 minutes just alone to read a book or listen to a podcast, or because I just felt like I've been gone all day and now I come home and walk in the door and leave me alone now. Like, I just got here, but leave me alone. I need 15 to 30 minutes of me time. And my therapist and my psychiatrist said, quit feeling guilty for that. You are doing what you need to do to make you a better husband and a better father. And if you don't do that, like, your kids aren't going to see the benefit to you taking this 15 to 20 minutes, but I promise you it's there. So quit feeling guilty for it. Just do it. And you're a better person for it. It took a while to get there. Like, I still have moments, days where I come home and then just feel like I just feel guilty for being gone all day and then wanting more time alone away from everybody. But I've explained that to my wife, like, this is important and it makes me a better version of myself for you. If I can just have that 15, 20 minutes to sit, to meditate, to read, to whatever. I just need to shut this thing off and go someplace else for 20 minutes, and then I can turn it back on and I'm better for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's almost, I know what you're talking about because I'm the same way, and it's almost a form of meditation just to ground yourself into the new environment. Well, it's not a new environment, but ground yourself to where in the environment,
space. Yeah.
the space.
Yeah. I've never thought of it that way, but it's almost like turning off, giving my work brain a minute to power down while my home brain powers up, so I can focus on the different tasks, completely different things.
Yeah. And I heard this before too, kind of, what's the word? Like, almost having that picture of what you want your house to be like or feel like, or energy, before you even walk into it, and you walk into it that way. Kind of that sort of understanding as well.
Yeah, that is awesome. The other day I was still part of this training in feeling gratitude and expressing gratitude was thinking about the things that we're thankful for. And so I had this morning, and my exercise was to list the things I was thankful for. And it was in relation to time. And so I had listed, I'm thankful for the time I get to spend with my family. And it got to the point where I was like thinking of other things. And I put, I'm thankful for the time I get to spend cleaning my house, because I'm thankful that I have a house to clean. And the next day, I walked into the kitchen and we had a sink overflowing with dirty dishes. And the dishwasher, of course, those dishes were clean, but that would be crazy for anybody to empty those clean dishes and load it with the dirt. That is a bridge too far at my house. So I decided, okay, I'm cleaning the kitchen, and I started going. And as I started going through all these dirty pots and pans, I started to get frustrated. Like, why can't they, at least at the bare minimum, why can't they rinse their dishes off so that stuff doesn't get just caked onto it? And I was getting frustrated and more frustrated. And then I thought back to what I had written, that I'm thankful for the time I get to spend cleaning my house, because I have a house to clean, and I have pots and pans to clean and dishes to clean, and 4 beautiful kids that I wish would clean their dishes better, but I'm still grateful for them. And I was telling my friend, it was the weirdest shift, because I went from like angry to like literally whistling while I was working, just as happy as could be that I had these dishes to clean, just by changing my thought pattern. And it was awesome. And I've seen that through this process, along with all the other. It's just been these past 2 months of my life have been game changer, and it's just been awesome. Little experience after little experience that have just compounded one another. It's just been. I'm more mad that I didn't figure this out sooner. I mean, it took me 46 years, but that's okay. I'm here now, and we're doing it.
And it's amazing how many people won't invest money or time or energy into a different direction when they're stuck.
Yeah.
Or invest in yourself.
Yeah, like invest in yourself.
Well, and I think the hard thing too is sometimes you don't realize you're stuck. And I went to this 2-day training kind of on a whim. Me and a buddy were just like, hey, should we go try this? Sure, let's go do it. It was a friend of ours we had known from like 10 years before. So we went and did it. And timing is everything. For me, the timing was perfect for me to go there. And after going to it, I told so many people about it. I posted it on my social media, like, you guys have got to go to this next event. It will change your life. Because for me, it was 2 days. And I was like, I felt like he jumped inside my brain and just rewired it. And the biggest revelation to me was that, and when you say people being stuck, like, I didn't know I was stuck. I thought I was just living life, but I had this realization while I was there that I haven't been really living life. I have been, because of everything that we've been through with my wife's health and all these different events, I had been kind of in like a self-preservation mode of just waiting for the next thing to happen and trying to prepare myself for that, but not actively going after my hopes and dreams and living life every day to the fullest, but just kind of sitting, waiting for this next, whatever it might be, to come. And that's kind of what I told my daughter. I don't want to live life like that. I want to go out and show you guys that if you have a dream, you chase it, and maybe you make it and maybe you don't, but at least you gave it your all trying to get there. And it frustrates me that it took me, that for however many years I've been living in that self-preservation bubble and not really living life. But I'm so grateful for that 2-day training that opened my eyes to that. And I will never live like that again.
Well,
However, if you hadn't experienced life up until now,
that is so
you
true.
wouldn't be the person you are. It's kind of like
And
myself.
I wouldn't have that shift. You're so right. And I was thinking the other day about, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I had this thought come to me the other day that we all have, like, I'm kind of a visual learner. So I was thinking about these different things that had happened in life, and thinking, we all have our anchors. They're things that are holding us back from going where we want to go. And sometimes it's hard to lift those anchors, and we need help to lift those anchors. But then the thought came to me, like, well, what if you just cut ties with those and just drop the anchor altogether? But then I thought, but those anchors are what make us who we are going forward. So my thought process was like, should we even be wanting to cut our anchors? Because that's what makes you who you are those things. And so anyway, that it was an interesting way that my brain went, just kind of going through this and thinking, I don't want to forget what we've been through. That is with me. That's what's made me who I am today. But I got to figure out a way to carry that weight differently than I've been carrying.
Yes. That's the point of awareness. Yes. Exactly.
It's strange. I remember once again, we were doing this course and I thought I was really helping this guy. And then it became the share time after the exercise. And this facilitator, when I shared that I was trying to help him, and he goes, "What did you do that for? You won't get anything back and you'll just be resentful afterwards." And like I wanted to stand up and bite his head off. And it's like, he's right. I've always given with expectation. And in order to receive from giving, you have to have no expectation.
Final pause. If you've got a message on your heart and want to be our guest, don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. Visit forwardwalkingchoices.com, scroll to the Soulmates and Suitcases podcast section, and click Apply Here. Now back to the show.
Right.
Which is really tricky and
It
really hard.
is.
So, like you were explaining earlier, giving money, but look at what you gave back when you had no expectation.
I know, and that is like you're saying, to give without expecting anything in return it has to be practiced to be perfected, because I'm so thankful for that experience that happened. But I had to sit and tell myself all night long, like, just be thankful that you are able to help. Just be thankful. And my brain kept taking me back to like, yeah, but that $300 could have helped pay this or this or this. It's definitely, it's a muscle. It's got to be practiced to be perfected.
Yep. And just, I'm not sure if you're aware, but gratitude is the highest vibrational frequency, by the way.
I am learning that. I am learning that right now. I'm doing this coaching with this friend of mine that I did that 2-day training with, and it's like an 8-month long training that I signed up for, and the first month is all focused on gratitude, and it has been. That's why I'm saying I'm so excited that my mind now is in the right place to see these things, because I'm convinced that these things were happening, but I wasn't even acknowledging them and being thankful for them. It was just, they were happening. And now they're happening, and I'm seeing them, and I'm expressing gratitude for these things happening. And then by doing that, more is happening. It's so frustrating to me, because he went through this whole course and taught all these different things. And then I went to him one day and I was like, I mean this with all due respect, but so much of the stuff that you're telling me, I'm just like, duh. Like, why? Like, I'm grateful for it, but it's like, why did I need to come to a 2-day training for my brain to hear this stuff and actually recognize it? Like, so much of it is just like common sense stuff. I don't want to diminish what he did, because what he did was incredible for me. And again, generationally, it's going to change my kids and their kids and their kids. So I'm super, super thankful for it. But so much of it is just like, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, of course we have to give without expecting anything in return. Of course, when something good happens to us, we should acknowledge that and express appreciation for that. Like, but I just think we get caught up in life, and these things happen, and we don't give it what it deserves.
Yeah, we could talk a long time about this exact kind of topic for sure, but we're gonna start wrapping it up, Paul. And it's been an amazing conversation, like I said, and your story, I believe, will connect with a lot of people, because I think a lot of people do have that feeling of, I don't know who to reach out to. I don't know who, like, I feel like I'm the only one. Like, a lot of people have that feeling. And so your story, the scars you can't see, definitely will connect with a lot of people. And As a teacher and a parent, I'm excited for your children's book to get out there, because I think be understanding to identify your emotions and being able to share them, because even the understanding of identifying them is a big area that a lot of adults and children are not aware of. So I think that
Yeah.
your book will be very good for that. And so can you please just remind our audience where people can get your books and maybe get a hold of you if they want to?
Yeah, of course. So Scars You Can't See and The Courage to Say I'm Not Okay, they're both on Amazon, either Kindle or paperback. And
All right. Thanks so much, Paul. We appreciate your
Paul.
time and your story.
And we'll end in our usual way, being in Thailand.
Yeah, Kapun Ka.
Kapun Krap.
thank you so much.
Appreciate it so much.
Thanks.
Thanks. All the best to you, Paul.
You too.
Okay.
Want to get our books fast and at the best price? Get your electronic copy at https://payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley authors. Again, that's https://payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley authors.